Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the Midheaven conjunct Chiron in the natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects of the natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may refer to them as snappy, so what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is if you have the Midheaven conjunct Chiron in a natal chart, the career, which is the midheaven, may be strongly connected with emotional and physical areas, which is Chiron. Now, keep in mind, conjunctions are neutral aspects, so it doesn't necessarily mean that, that the career is going to cause some kind of strong, emotional and or physical related wounds and suffering, but it can still be prominent, and it could be where maybe it helps you, deal with those, physical and emotional related ones. You can have a little bit of both, when you're talking about a conjunction aspect of astrology. Now, if the, let's say, the midheaven, is in Aries, as an example, the career may be tied in with the military, firefighting, welding, arson investigation, law enforcement, combat sports. It may be, associated with physiology, or some profession that's connected with the head, such as helmet or hat design as some examples. Another thing, too, about this aspect is that it could manifest in the success one may attain, which is the midheaven, may involve healing, which is Chiron. Now, let's say if Chiron is in Pisces, as an example, this may be spiritual related healing, or it may be connected with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. It may be through some kind of relaxation or meditation, as some examples. Now, also to the midheaven conjunct Chiron in a natal chart may also indicate having much ambition, which is the midheaven, in helping and healing others, which is Chiron. Now, let's say, for example, if Chiron is on Taurus, you may help and heal others in a very methodical, deliberate, and plotting manner, but it could also be doing something Chiron related. It could be matters, that are monetary, financial, self-worth, self-esteem, how one feels about oneself. It may be in issues with persistence, patience, and perseverance, as some examples. Also, too, you may have much concentration, which is the midheaven, dealing with the deepest wound, which is Chiron. Now, going back to Chiron in Aries as an example, that deepest wound may be tied in. It could be issues with identity or finding one's place, in the world. It may be matters with aggression or assertiveness. Maybe it involves something with, physical confrontation that one had, or just a battle, whether it was physical or if it was just, verbal, as an example. And also, too, the midheaven conjunct Chiron in a natal chart may also manifest in the dominant parent, which is often the father, older people, and authority figures, which is the midheaven, may figure prominently in dealing with issues connected with depleted self-esteem, which is Chiron. Now, if Chiron is in the zodiac sign Cancer, as an example, depleted self-esteem may be connected with one's home, family life. It may be matters with safety and security. Maybe there's some issues with the expression of unconditional love, or showing some kind of dedication or devotion. Maybe there's something associated with one's ancestry or heritage, as some examples. And also to diminished self-worth and suffering, which is Chiron, may be, something that is difficult to suppress, which is the midheaven. Let's say, if you have Chiron and Scorpio as an example, diminished self-worth, may be tied in with matters of support or intimate relationships, shared resources. Maybe it has to do with something of a sexual nature or an ability to, make a major change or transformation, or maybe issues with dealing with crisis situations, or even something of a psychological nature in some cases. Now, also, too, the dominant parent, older people, and authority figures, which is the midheaven, they figure prominently, excuse me, in matters associated with pain and anguish, which is Chiron. It could be for better or for worse, because keep in mind, again, conjunctions are neutral aspects, so it could indicate that these people may play an integral role in matters of pain and anguish, and it could be for better or for worse. If Chiron is in, Sagittarius, as an example, there may be pain and anguish that's connected. It could be with one's philosophy or one's religion, maybe certain beliefs. Maybe it's tied in with being, a person that had been overly optimistic on things, or maybe it was the lack of expression of optimism, in some cases. If Chiron is in Sagittarius, there may be physical related issues with the hips, the sciatic nerve, the thighs, or the liver, in some cases. Now, helpers, healers, spiritual people, and even astrologers, which is Chiron, may be pivotal in the success that one may attain, which is the midheaven. Now, if the midheaven is in Aquarius, as an example, there may be success may be attained, doing something, associated with humanitarian, altruistic endeavors, astrology, astronomy, computers, electronics, innovation, aviation, meteorology, or even rocket science in some cases. Now, also, too, the midheaven conjunct Chiron can also indicate where it could be hard to hold back, which is the midheaven. Sympathy and compassion, which is Chiron, which is naturally something positive. If Chiron is in Capricorn, as an example, sympathy and compassion may be expressed toward others, and maybe it has to do. Maybe it's done in a consistent manner with much structure and discipline, but it could also be, helping others, with responsibilities, achievements, accomplishments, helping one attain career ambitions, gaining greater social status and stature in life, as some examples. Now, also, too, in some instances, there may have been some abuse, or trauma, which is Chiron, one may have endured, by someone in some position of authority at some point in time, which is the midheaven. Now, let's say, if Chiron is in Gemini, it may be more of a verbal kind, where the person may have been berated, often, Virgo may be a very, one connected with a lot of criticism, someone being very judgmental, critical, cynical. There may be, also, too, the midheaven conjunct Chiron in a natal chart can also suggest, where one can attain notoriety and recognition, which is the midheaven, in astrology, spirituality, mentoring, or teaching, which is Chiron. Now, let's say, for example, if Chiron is in Leo, there may be, the person may have an interest in, mentoring or teaching, it could be something connected with acting or entertainment or circus performing, product demonstration, creativity, cardiology, something associated with sports. If Chiron is in Libra, there may be teaching, associated with, the law or art. It could be arbitration, negotiation, something associated with scales, human resources, interior decoration, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, everyone, saying stay well.